our first lecture and meeting of the September 2010 course. I am glad to see so many on the call, and some are still coming in. We're going to do a little bit some housekeeping before we really start. In general, we start exactly on the hour and not 5 minutes late. So you can always come later. This is not a problem. It doesn't disrupt anything or what have you. We just have to start early because usually, except for today, I need all the 60 minutes that there are in order to finish up on time. Sometimes it runs 5 minutes late. And if we don't start, it runs even later. So just to familiarize you a little bit with your screen, you have on the side a hand. It looks like a hand sign. If you have a question, you can use this hand, or you can type the question in to your question box. The chat box I do not see, but the question box I do see. And Catherine has asked if she should use her phone or not. I cannot tell you this because I don't know what other outfit you have. If you have speakers, this is enough, and you can use your phone when we get to the questions and answers. When I see that you are using your phone, I'm going to send you a pin. So let's just see how this goes tonight and how we are going to proceed with all of this. Not everybody is here yet, but so it goes. I hope you get with this first slide a little bit an idea that this is not just dry matter in this course. It's also supposed to be a little bit fun. And I got told from the May course participants, at least from some of them, that they have plenty of good laughs, which I certainly can't hear because I have you all muted. If I unmute you all, there is going to be a cacophony of noises in the background. It's unbelievable. I've tried this in the first course, trust me. Please make notes about questions that you have so we can answer them later on in the question and answer session. What I would like to do today in the question and answer session is I would like for each one of you to introduce yourself a little bit to everybody else. Makes it a little easier for me to hear who you are and what kind of horses you have and why you're here, stuff like this. Just a couple of sentences real quick. So far there are 16 on the call and I should have about 20. So that should go fairly quick. I will take time first to tell you a little bit about me, and then we will talk about directional terms, structural listings, landmark anatomy, and we have a human equine skeleton comparison. This is how this course goes. It will be always a lecture about a subject and one will build on the next, on the previous one. It has as I think of it, a logic progression, and it is really fairly important that you get all the sessions. There is the one or the other that is not too bad if you miss it, but I will refer back to some of these things and just saying we talked about this already in the beginning or in the middle or wherever. You can also, and I would like to put this under housekeeping right now, for those of you who haven't yet, you can purchase the recorded sessions. They cannot be purchased single, they have to be purchased all together, but it boils down to $2 a session for the recording. And I put the recordings on a secure website. As they come up, I will send those who are enrolled for the recordings the sign-in URL and the password, and then you can click on those and they come up in a whatever your media player is. Should work the same for Apple and PCs. So, and if you would decide to upgrade to any of our other courses that we offer on equine soundness that do go in way more detail, we will certainly credit you what you have paid for this course onto the next one, so you don't have to pay twice. One of the benefits of this course is also that you can send in hoof pictures, questions to me outside of the course, and I will help you to the best of my ability long distance to make corrections the way I see it in accordance with what you learn here and send them back to you. This is not on my priority list. You may have to wait a few days till I get to look at this in great detail. I get quite a few of those, and I always do the ones first that pay directly for consultations. But if you're in the course, you will get help with your problems that you're having at home. You can also ask in the question and answer session about unrelated to the lecture questions. If you have something that's burning and needs to be answered, ask it there. You will be surprised how many people find this very, very interesting. If you send me pictures, please make a note now that I will use these pictures shamelessly. Not with your name on, but if I need to illustrate something, it is very hard to find very good pictures. And if we get a situation where I can make comparisons and can illustrate something for other students better, I will use this. If you don't want your pictures used for whatever reason, then please don't send them. And what I would suggest to each one of you, make a few notes during this course. They may come in handy later while you're sitting there. I do not go that fast through the slides. We will have in the future, when we go through anatomy, we will have a few movies and that you really have to watch, but in general you have time to take notes in between, if you can take notes while I'm incessantly talking. So let me tell you a little bit about me. This is the face behind the voice, and I am, as you can hear, originally from Germany, where it was my dream and I made it to come reality. I was a trainer in Germany. This is named a Bereiter, and a judge, and I also trained to become a veterinarian technician. and had the good fortune to train with the veterinarian who was the veterinarian for the Olympic dressage team for several decades. And that was exciting because we also got to treat all those fantastic horses, and I also had the privilege to ride with some of these people, because sometimes it's just whom you know. And I went from there on to be riding instructor in several large clubs in Germany, and I also spent a year in Southwest Africa training horses. And in 1986 I came with my American husband to the United States, and we found Horrell Hill Dressage Center, which we operated together. My husband's not a horse person, but he's a fantastic stable manager, meanwhile. And we operated Horrell Hill Dressage Center as a training barn until 2003. However, in 2002, I started actively trimming, and it became more and more difficult to train horses and trim as many horses as I was trimming. And this whole shift to hoof care came through one particular book that a friend gave me, and the book is Lifetime of Soundness by Dr. Hiltrud Strasser. I can only highly recommend it. You can buy it at Amazon. Lifetime of Soundness. I read this book and I knew what exactly had gone wrong, so to say, in my life. And I changed immediately. Within 3 weeks, not a single horse in my care had shoes on anymore, and they were all living outside all of a sudden, which some of the older horses found distasteful, but they got used to it. And so we quit the dressage training, and I realized I had to learn a lot more, and wanted to take a professional training course for hoof care. And at the time, in 2003, there were not a whole lot of options. It was either Jamie Jackson, whom I didn't know, even so I had read his book. It didn't speak to me as much as the book from Dr. Strasser, and so I opted to take the Strasser course. I also found, because of my history, the veterinarian background more attractive. And so I took that course, which took a year, and graduated in July of 2004. After I graduated, it wasn't quite, I still wasn't satisfied with what I knew, and I had all kind of difficult cases in my care and didn't know exactly what to do with it, because you know how that goes. You graduate and then you know nothing. So I asked how I could learn more, and the suggestion was made that I become an instructor. And so I almost instantly entered into the instructor training, and did that for 2 years, mostly under the tutelage of Todd Morrell from British Columbia, who I still think was one of the most terrific trimmers around, had really a good eye and could explain things. Sometimes he explained it a little bit fast, but he really knew his stuff, and he's still alive. However, he's not teaching trimming anymore. We operated his school for a while together, In that time I developed an online course because we agreed that it was time to move this into the 21st century with all the technology that is available. And when Todd retreated from wanting to teach, I started in 2007 my own school. And that is Equine Soundness now, which I operate together with Jerry Schmidt, Audrey Bryant, and Christina Martin. These are the other instructors in the school, and we meet quite often. I just was in Washington last weekend, and we talk a lot on the phone, and we have the same philosophies about trimming. So no matter to whom you go, you will always learn the same stuff. If you want to know more about me, I put the URL down there. HoofCareUnlimited.com is our other operation. If it's other, it's the same stuff. We have here at home where we had the dressage barn. We have changed this, meanwhile, into a hoof clinic and have done some major improvements with lots of rubber floor and a walker and soaking baths and all kind of stuff. So that is, you can read all about this there, and under aboutus.html you'll find my curriculum vitae and a little bit something about my husband, and most important, what we do. Might give you a better feel for everything. What this course is all about is really not just about trimming. It is about all these points listed here: anatomy, hoof form, hoof function, correct trim technique, lifestyle, nutrition. When you have all of these points right, then it results usually in the well-being of the horse. And it is an everyday effort. It is not just something that you can do once in a while. You have to really stay on top of these critters. They are so different from us. They have totally different needs. And I am really, the older I get, the more amazed I am how much there is still to learn. It changes frequently. This is another reason why this online course and this putting this all online instead of in a book makes a whole lot more sense, because then it can be changed. And what I do in the course, in the courses on equine soundness, I once in a while change a file, and then I let everybody who has ever taken this course and is still with us, I let them know that something has changed and they can read about it. Or they can watch a new movie that I found that illustrates things better. And all our equine soundness course participants can also participate in these online seminars. And I post the recordings of these online seminars in the student material, so they can watch it again and again and again, if they so desire. So, to come to the real lecture today, let's talk about terms, directional terms first. And this is, for most of you, maybe not quite so clear. I know one participant that has absolutely no problems with these terms, and I'm sorry that you have to sit there and just suffer through it. But everybody else, when you see a picture like this with all these different terms, cranial, caudal, proximal, medial, lateral, plantar, distal, dorsal, it's hard to remember. and I certainly had a hard time and didn't quite get it. I kind of, when I learned this, I kind of suffered through a lecture given in a classroom, and without notes I would never have survived. So in order to make this a little bit easier, I have engaged the help of the University of Michigan, who has a fantastic little website on which they show these terms in great detail, but the only thing is they're shown on a dog. So, but it makes so much more sense if you get one at a time. So let's endure the dog, and it's the same, and it's a nice looking dog. It's a Great Dane. When we talk about medial, these are the blue arrows. It is whatever is directed to the median plane, to the midline. When we talk about lateral, the red arrows, it is directed away from the median plane. When we talk about dorsal, the blue arrows, it's directed towards the back, and ventral is directed towards the belly. The same counts when you look at the animal from the front, dorsal towards the back, ventral towards the belly. Cranial, the blue arrows, is directed towards the cranium, therefore cranial, which is the head, the brain. Caudal is directed towards the tail, red arrows. And then we have something, because it would be too easy if everything would make sense, on the bottom here, and that throws everything out of kilter. Dorsal was directed towards the back, so why is this now directed towards the front? And then they add palmar and plantar towards the back, and that didn't make sense. So I've taken my own dog, because I couldn't get a horse to lie down and take pictures, at least not with the front feet stuck out. And now if you look at it from a lie down animal, then it makes a little bit more sense. Dorsal is now towards the back, and palmar is towards the palm. It's the front foot. Its palmar is only on the front foot. On the hind foot, again, dorsal is towards the back, and plantar is towards the ground, or towards the back of the, behind the animal. So I hope this helps to explain it a little bit better. Just for completion, rostral is directed towards the nose, and caudal is directed towards the tail again. But on the head, it's rostral towards the front, not cranial. Then when we come to limbs and tail, when we talk about limbs, proximal is directed towards the body, and distal is directed away from the body. We talk a lot about the equine distal limb in trimming. That is the lower leg, from the knee down, from the hock down. And again, the same thing counts from if you look at the animal from the front. And then we have a few more terms. We talked already about the median plane. It is a mid-sagittal plane that divides the body into left and right halves. Then we have the dorsal plane, which is, when you go to the real website, this red line moves, and it means parallel to the back. The dorsal plane is parallel to the back. The transverse plane is perpendicular to the axis of the animal. And finally, the sagittal plane also divides the body into right-left parts, but not exactly in the middle. And that will come directly in the next slide. We will have a sagittal cut through the hoof. It's not the next slide, it's the slide after the next. When we talk about leg movement to the side, the animal can abduct the leg, which means move it away from the body, or it can adduct it, moving it towards the body. And I really like for you to know these terms because veterinarians use them a lot, and more trimmers are using them as well. And it is so much easier to look at a radiograph if you know that DP stands for dorsal palmar or dorsal plantar, and you know which way you're looking at it. And that lateral is on the outside and medial is on the inside. And that way you can look at a hoof and talk reasonably intelligent about it. Now we have the sagittal cut. Let's talk about structural listings. And again, this may be for some of you an old hat. And today it is going to be really, really simple. But I have to start with simple and take you from simple to more complex. That's what we do in school. We are seeing here what's in green, the wall of the hoof, and have it outlined here in the sagittal cut. This is a cut through the middle of the hoof, also in green. This is the horn structure named the wall. Simple. In this left picture, everything that is green is known as the sole of the foot. What is not in green is not sole. When you look at the sagittal cut, what you see here is sole only where it's green. A sagittal cut needs to be looked at with different eyes. You need to really know what you're looking at. And we will talk about the rest of the structure in a further lecture. But the sole is just this piece here. This here is a different structure. It's not the sole. This is the frog. So in the last slide we had the sole here in green. Now we have the frog in green. The frog is this structure that's outlined here in red. I should have outlined it in green, but didn't happen. Maybe in the next course. In this picture we are pointing out what is known as the white line. And funny enough, the white line is usually not white, it's yellow. But it's known in the English language as the white line. So you have to live with that one again. There are other things as well in the English language that for me don't make a lot of sense, but as long as they make sense to you, I'm good with that. So the white line is yellow and is depicted here where the arrows point and is depicted here where the arrows point. And these lines are the collateral grooves. They run on both sides of the frog to the apex of the frog and to the heel point. So having said all these structures, now we're going to look at them in one picture. And that is, again, it's one of those things that could easily become overwhelming if you look at all of this in one turn. These here are the bulbs of the hoof. The central sulcus is that little bit of depression in the middle of the frog. And it really should be only a little bit of depression. The collateral sulcus, also known as the collateral groove, on both sides, we talked about that. Then we have the heel bar triangle. This is where the heel and the bar connect. The bar is a continuation of the hoof wall. The hoof wall folds here in the heel bar triangle inside and continues the bar to about the middle of the frog. Not so easy to paint with a mouse. Tonight it came actually out better than many times before. So we have the heel bar triangle and the bar here. Then we have the frog with the frog apex. The sole, as we had pointed out before, all of the structure that's not bar or frog is sole. And finally, the wall. And again, the wall and the bar belong together. When we look at the hoof from the side, we have here in the front the toe area, and the toe area really is everything that goes here. Then we have the coronet band, the hairline, coronet band, hairline, different names. Then we have the quarters, which go from here to here. That's all quarters. And finally the heel area. And it is really important that we all talk the same language about feet. That when you talk about the toe area, you really mean this. And when you talk about the quarters, you don't mean something in the toe area. So important when we're talking to each other that we all speak the same language. I try my best. Sometimes I make up words. You can catch me on it. You can laugh about it. I'm not offended. You can write it down. You can send me emails. I'm trying to perfect this English language thing. Some days I'm more successful than others. And then there is, after we have looked at all the things on the outside of the hoof, there is the inside. And on the inside we have a skeleton. And I just love these pictures. They are also from Todd Morell, and they are very well done, overlaying the skeletal structure with the actual leg. And from the bottom up, the bones are the most distal bone is the coffin bone, also known as the distal phalanx. Then we have the short pastern bone, the long pastern bone, the sesamoid bones, the cannon bone, and the splint bones. And the bone that is not depicted here, because it can usually not be seen in very well in a lateral picture, in a picture from the side, is sitting here, and that's the navicular bone. These bones are connected with joints, and the joint between the coffin bone and the short pastern bone is named the coffin joint. The coffin joint sits inside the hoof capsule. The joint between the short pastern bone and the long pastern bone is named the pastern joint, and the joint between the long pastern bone and the cannon bone is named the fetlock joint. Here we have just the coffin bone pointed out. Goes about like this. And when we are a few lectures further on, you should be able to draw a coffin bone. Practice some drawing of skeletal structures. Practice some drawing of hoof capsules with all the right angles on and with what looks like a good hoof capsule. It's amazing how educational this is, and all of a sudden you see things differently. Seeing in hoof care is half the battle, if not 3/4 of the battle. We talked briefly about the navicular bone that you can hardly see from the side. Here you see it from the back. The navicular bone is sitting at the back of the coffin bone. It aids the deep digital flexor tendon in changing directions, and it articulates on one surface with the coffin bone and articulates on another surface with the short pastern bone. And here you see the coffin bone in without the other bones. The navicular bone, I'm sorry. This here is the short pastern bone, which we talked about sitting with its joint, distal joint surface in the hoof capsule. Sometimes way too much in the hoof capsule, and articulates with the long pastern bone on the other side. Here we have the long pastern bone, articulates with the short pastern bone on the distal end and with the cannon bone on the proximal end. The sesamoid bones is the other pair of bones that helps with changing directions of the deep digital flexor tendon. The deep digital flexor tendon comes straight out of the coffin bone and changes direction over the navicular bone, which is also known as the distal sesamoid. Then it goes up to the sesamoid bone and changes here directions again to go straight up the leg. The sesamoid bone is also known as the proximal sesamoid. So we have a distal sesamoid, navicular bone, and proximal sesamoid bones. so this complicated is veterinary language. And then we have this massive straight bone, the cannon bone, and it interests us mainly in orientation, because with this we can often see if the horse has pain in various parts of the foot. We get to this way later, about lecture number 14 or so. And finally, we have the splint bones. The splint bones are remnants of the times when the horse, way back when, had 5 toes and then 4 toes. The horse evolved from a 5-toed animal. And I know in the past I have said, I don't know, some schools talk about 4 toes, other schools talk about 5 toes. And this morning I had somebody on the morning call who actually could answer that question. She has studied archaeology, and she said the difference between 4 toes and 5 toes is how far you go back. So really the horse started out as a 5-toed animal, and then evolved to a 4-toed animal, and then evolved to from there to a 1-toed animal. And the splint bones are 2 of those remnants from the 4-toed era, and the chestnut on the inside of the leg is the other remnant. So chestnut and 2 splint bones and the skeletal structure we have now makes together 4 toes. So even I learn something every day. And this is the comparison we had talked about, I had promised you. We have here the horse leg with the coffin bone, and the coffin bone can be compared to the most distal phalanx of your hand in the front leg. Then the second phalanx in the horse compares to the second phalanx in your hand, and the long pastern bone can be compared to the third phalanx in your hand. This here, in what lies in the palm of your hand, is the cannon bone. And then above this comes the wrist, which is in the horse, funny English language, the knee. It should really, if you use more Latin words, then it becomes a little clearer. This is the carpal joint in humans as well as in the horse. Then we have the same, just take all these markers out, in the hind leg. The coffin bone compares to this. The short pastern bone compares to this. The long pastern bone compares to this. And what's in your foot, in the middle of the foot, is the cannon bone. And then your whole heel construction compares to the hock in the horse. And then if you go a little bit further up in the skeleton, you get to the actual knee, which the English language says is a stifle in the horse. So that is how far the horse, the limbs of the horse can be compared to human anatomy. And that together brings us today to the end of this lecture. I would like to invite now questions. If you have any, please raise your hand. and I can just look through if there's anybody who wants to say something. And if not, which it doesn't look good, we're going to start calling on somebody and tell us who they are and how they came to be here. And I'm going to pick on somebody I know. And I know also that she has a microphone. Hello, Nancy.
Hello.
Talk a little bit about yourself.
My husband and I have a small farm with 3 horses. I have a draft cross and 2 quarter horses. One of them came to us with some severe lameness after a period of time he had been here, and turns out it was very old injuries, and he's a sweet horse, and we wanted to do the right thing with him and came to know Claudia through research. And my husband has been a student of hers for about a year, right, Claudia?
Yep.
And so I'm really the horse person in the family, but not so much anymore. My husband knows more than I do, so I am here attending this webinar to catch up to him and just have a deeper understanding of what he is doing and what he has learned through Claudia. And we've enjoyed Claudia on our farm a couple of times, and she's just been delightful and very wonderful and supportive in our endeavors here.
Thank you, Nancy. And now we go from the top down. Barbara Charon, do you have a microphone? As it is suspiciously quiet on the other end, I don't think so. Barbara Noble, evenly quiet.
Yes, Barbara Noble is.
Barbara?
Can you hear me? I'm here. Can you hear me?
You have to turn your volume up. I cannot hear you. I can only think you're there. Doesn't work.
I'm here.
Yeah, you can hear me well. I know this, but I cannot hear you. Let's try this later again. Barbara Charon. I can also not hear you. Most headsets have a button where you can turn the volume up, or you have to get a little bit closer to your microphone. Catherine.
Yes.
Hi.
Can you?
Yeah?
Oh, you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
So can everybody else.
Okay. Well, let's see. I didn't have any horses for like 20 years, and then I bought a yearling, and I raised her, and then I bred her, and now I have her baby, and which is not a baby anymore. She's 15, and she's got all kinds of foot problems, and the vet said it was navicular, and so I tried all the farriers in town, and everything just seemed to keep getting worse. And then I found a hoof group online, and one thing just sort of led to another, and heard about Claudia, and so here I am, and hoping to find the keys that will unlock all the issues to my horse's feet.
Okay, and where do you live?
Grants Pass, Oregon, in the United States.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Catherine. Desiree. doesn't sound as if you have a mic.
Hello?
Oh, yes, you
Can
do.
you-
Yes, you
Okay.
do.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Sorry,
excellent.
Okay. I'm Desiree, and I'm from Florida, and I have an ex-racehorse, thoroughbred who is now 9. I've had him since he was 3 years old. He was retired then because he had broken his knee on the track, but I rehabbed him, and he's been barefoot the whole time he's been with me, so for the past 6 years. He can do normal dressage, jumping, everything now, and I credit that to being barefoot, since I've had him. But of course, like most everybody, trying to learn as much as I can about nutrition and hoof care and everything to manage the lifestyle and manage the horse to the best of my abilities and continue learning.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Desiree.
Thank
Dawn?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
I joined Claudia's professional course over a year ago, graduated back in April. I have been trimming for several years and had a lot of unanswered questions and dealt with a lot of pathological feet. And a lot of them I didn't know which way to go. And I met Claudia. She has been a huge help. It's not only helped me, but it's helped me to help a lot of horses that I could not have helped a year ago. It's been well worth the journey. It's been trying at times, but it has really been well worth it. If I had to do it over again, I would definitely do it.
Okay.
I
Thank
currently
you.
trim between 175 and 200 horses.
Yeah. Thank you, Dawn. It has been trying at times indeed. We have some requirements in this full course that can be very trying. I think Dawn learned the most in this course about computer. Doreen, do you have a mic?
Yes,
Hi.
I sure do. Can you
Great.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm Doreen. I'm from New Jersey. I started this journey about 7 or 8 years ago when I bought a baby. We were going to grow up together, and this was going to be my last horse. Unfortunately, I bought a sick horse. He had a lot of metabolic issues. Didn't know it really until we pulled the shoes and he fell down. So it was a long journey. I did a lot of studying on between the hoofs and the grass and the nutrition and you name it. I turned every rock. It's been a blessing for me to learn all that. However, we just never made him right. We just ended up he was really a true diabetic. We just couldn't control his insulin.
Yeah.
And I put him down 2 years ago, so now I am shopping for a horse, and it's very difficult to find a sound barefoot animal. So I do have 2 minis that I trim myself. Again, you know, the journey was well worth it because I just learned so much. But I think I'm the only one in my area, in my town at least, that believes in barefoot. And it's very difficult to ride with my friends and see everybody that's got shoes on, and it's just like the horses look at me like, please tell them. So it is a journey. I wish you weren't so far away because you just don't have any trimmers here that I could learn with. That's the only thing that's stopping me from really taking the full course, is that I would have to do so much traveling.
It's not much traveling, but we can talk about this offline.
Yeah, but it's my passion. It's just
Great.
my passion. So horses have been my passion since I think I was 2. I got my first stitch when I was 3. I fell off my rocking horse, so you have horse blood. So I love this. I think that this is great. My only question would be that, all the slides that you're showing, can we print those out somewhere so we have them in front of us?
No.
So we can,
No.
no.
No,
All right.
Doreen, there's only so much I'm willing to give away.
Okay.
And to put this together, you have no idea how much work
Okay.
this is. Every single lecture that I put out takes me a whole day to find the pictures, to put it together, to make sense, to write a lesson plan. And I'm not, you can look at the recordings, and the recordings will be up until the end of April.
Okay.
So if you have already signed up for that, then you can study this again and again, and when you get to the recording, you can pause it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can look at the picture for forever, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have to buy the recordings extra because not everybody wants that, and I didn't want to tack it for everybody onto the
Certainly.
price.
Okay.
Thank you, Doreen.
Okay.
Joel.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Dr. Joel Hewen. I'm a veterinarian in San Antonio, Texas, and taking this course is part of, I'm kind of a CE-aholic, continuing education person. I like to take both veterinary continuing education as well as, I thought the advantage of taking this course would be to just improve my ability and understanding and working with farriers and foot trimmers on cases, and I always like reviewing things, and so I've heard some good things about this course, and am a fan of natural foot care, and so I thought it would be an interesting course to take, and very likely upon completion I'll probably take Claudia's course designed for as a theory on natural hoof care for veterinarians, but wanted to give this a try first. So hi everybody, hope you enjoy the course. I'm enjoying it so far.
Thank you, Joel. And you don't know how much we all love you already. Because veterinarians who want to learn about barefoot hoof care are so rare. I hope it's going to be a worthwhile journey for you. I can assure you that you're going to learn new things.
Well, thank you. I look forward to it.
Very good. Magdalena, guten Abend.
Hello, can you hear
Hello.
me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm Magdalena and I live in Quebec. I have two horses. One I've had for 6 years now. She's now a 17-year-old Arabian mare. And the other one I just recently got because we moved the mare to where we live and we needed a companion. So we got given a pony of the Americas. He's 18.
Good.
And he had his first official barefoot trim just yesterday, actually. He seemed to quite enjoy it. I got into the barefoot trimming and all the information through a friend who just basically gave me all the information one day, told me to mull it over a little bit because I was a little reluctant, because change is always, a little scary. And then I thought it over and got really interested, and then we started with my mare, and I've been really happy with the results, because overall she seems a lot happier, because she used to be grumpy a lot and now she's usually in a good mood. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. And you trim yourself?
No, I don't. I have that friend come trim for me, but with the class I'm hoping to learn more about it and maybe eventually trim myself.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Magdalena. Marilyn.
Yes.
Hi.
Do you hear me?
I hear you well. So can everybody else.
Fabulous.
Careful what you say now.
So I've known Claudia for quite some time. A very good friend of mine was working for Claudia many years ago and dragged me from Pennsylvania to attend a clinic at Claudia's, and that was that. I've been hooked ever since. And I think it all worked to, I had a horse whose mother tried to abort him and we didn't let her, and he was born, he couldn't stand, and He was neurologic, and he had all kinds of problems, and it all came together because I was supposed to learn about hooves. And now I trim professionally, and have been very fortunate. I've had several very nice horses come, FEI horses come sound, and I think I learned mostly. I attended many clinics with Nancy Filbert and Dr. Strasser, and now I need to really learn why what I do works. And Claudia's going to teach me all that. Okay. And that's it.
Great. And
So,
how many horses do you trim now, Marilyn?
I've never counted. Probably a couple hundred every month.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
And I breed, and we trim. I breed Hanoverian and now Westphalian, and we literally trim at day 2, and we trim twice a week in the beginning, and then we go to once a week, once every 2 weeks over several months. And now that we're about 4 months for most of the foals, we're about at 1 month. We go 2 weeks to 1 month for a trim, and they're all beautiful. It's so nice to watch them start out perfect.
Yes. Thank you, Marilyn. This is actually something I want to just interject here because I don't know that we ever get to say it again. Somehow this doesn't come up. I was incredibly amazed. I was a long time involved in the Belgian Warm Blood Association. This is the lady that Marilyn has her horse at her barn now, or somewhere close. She was the president of the Belgian Warm Blood Association, and I had her stallion in training. And so I got involved in all of this and went to the annual inspections. And when we started to take these horses barefoot, the foals, and started trimming the foals, she all of a sudden changed to much better horses. The results were much better because they get scores in these inspections. And the horses really had changed. They didn't have this gangly look anymore. They all of a sudden looked much more together. And I really think that out at that farm, Marilyn and everybody else are doing a great job. The foals really look excellent. Martina.
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes. Very well.
Hi. So I'm Martina. I'm from Quebec, and I'm taking this course thanks to my sister's suggestions, who is a professional trimmer. She trained with Claudia. I currently have 2 horses. I have a 4-year-old quarter horse mare that I bought a year ago, and a 3-year-old quarter horse mare, and a 4-year-old Canadian Welsh mix that I just rescued a couple of weeks ago, actually, who was in pretty dire needs and is going to need some serious hoof work.
Well.
So I'm here to learn about it and understand what my sister is always telling me.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Martina. And the next gentleman I would like to talk to with his first name, but I don't have it. Mr. Hayes.
Yeah, it's NL.
Oh,
It's
NL, that's it?
Yeah, it's NL because most people can't say my real name, which is Neville, so everyone just calls me NL. It's easier to remember.
Okay. Good to have you, NL.
Yeah, that way they don't call me Neville, Devil, and all that. NL's a lot better. But I have, me and my wife, we have 2 paints. One of them's a medicine hat, and I had asked my, where I got started in this, I asked my farrier, I got to reading about barefoot and all, and I felt this was a better way. Being an Indian, I just naturally felt, they were born without shoes, they can do without them. But he didn't happen to see it that way, so he come and pulled the shoes off, and all of a sudden I'm left here to do this. And I had, I'd read some, and I'd never trimmed horses before, so I did like most of the older ones told me, just go easy, and I was real conservative with it. And I'm just trying to garnish and get more knowledge where I can do better about my horses, because one of them had just terrible feet. Her feet were cracked up real bad. they're not as bad as they were, you know, but they're coming along pretty good, and I'm hoping this will help me with a lot of questions I have, because I've been doing this a year now, basically, and all I've had was reading material, just one video I looked at. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, very good. That brings to mind, I want to send you all an invitation to a Yahoo group that we have established for the May course, and I have decided to put you all in that same group. So just together with the others that are a little bit further along. Makes no difference. You will get in the next few days an invitation for this, and please look in your spam filters or spam boxes, wherever your spam goes in, because it seems notoriously to land there. The participation in the Yahoo group is totally voluntary. You don't have to, but there are some files available. One of the files is how to take pictures, and the better the pictures are that you take, the better I can help you with your quest to do a good trim. And you can send me pictures anytime. You don't have to wait till we are somewhere in how to do a case study, which is 17 sessions from now. So just while I was thinking about it, I want to intersect this. Nikki, do you have a mic?
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
You got me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got you.
Hi, I'm Nikki I'm from Australia. I've got 6 horses. I got into barefoot. I've been doing endurance riding for over 10 years. I got into barefoot when I had a 10-year-old mare get arthritis in both front legs at the pastern and fetlock joints. I'd legged her up and done everything right, so I questioned why this could happen. That's when I started to find out about just how bad shoeing was. And then I also rode with a friend who did an 80k ride. She rode her mare totally barefoot, and I was just astounded at the end of the ride how good her hooves were. Back then it was in drought, so the hooves were very tough as well. But yeah, it was just amazing. I've done a TAFE course in Australia to be an equine hoof care practitioner, which apparently is the first government registered course in the world, I think.
Yep.
I've now been trimming professionally for about 3.5 years. And yeah, I'd just like to do this course just to further my education, because it doesn't matter what you do or learn or read, there's always more to learn. So much more to learn.
Yes. Thank you, Nikki. That's great. It's always an honor to have seasoned trimmers in this course, and especially those who are from that far away. I love this technology that we can actually talk to each other. Anything I can help with. If somebody else would be offering a course like this, I would certainly take it. And I think there's always something to learn. I just love to see what other people are doing and how they are doing it. And so we go on. Philip.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
It sounds like a commercial, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Du bist ein kleiner Teufel. But anyway, my name is Philip Taylor, and I'm in Montana, and I've raced horses all my life. I still have 5 old quarter horse girls and boys. I've got 2 stallions, and I've done a lot of shoeing in my life, and then got away from that and got into this barefoot mecca that we're all looking at right now. And then last year I crushed a couple vertebrae in my back, so I'm not able to hold the horse up right now, and so I've been trying to find somebody here in our general area who knows and understands the concepts of barefoot trimming, but I've been unsuccessful, and it amazes me. I've got some friends at Kansas State University Veterinary School. I've got friends at Pullman Veterinary School, and their knowledge of equine hooves is just terribly lacking, and I'm sure we all know that. So anyway, I need help, and I guess I'm trying to help myself now by taking this course, and I've read an awful lot in the last 2 years, and I've taken a couple other little courses, but this I look enthusiastically forward to, and Claudia, you're either going to be my salvation, or I'm coming back east and look you up. Okay.
Philip, if you have time tomorrow, give me a call. I have a few ideas how to help you with trimming already,
okay.
With your physical handicap, and I'd be glad to talk to you.
I've been using Democidane, for this one mare that I've got a major problem with, and I don't want to use that too much. Excuse me. So I will give you a call, but I wanted to ask you 2 questions. Is it Bob Merrill or Todd Merrill?
Todd Merrill.
T-O-D-D?
T-O-D-D.
Okay.
British Columbia.
Right. And where is the cat's eye that people talk about?
Where's what?
The cat's eye on a hoof.
I have no earthly idea. Never heard of it.
Well, thank you. I haven't ever either, but I keep getting that phrase tossed at me. So anyway, but thank you for tonight. It's very interesting.
Okay, thank you, Philip. And Sarah? Suspiciously quiet. No mic. And last, not last, I think there's somebody further up. Yvette. Also very quiet. Philip, your hand is up, so was there anything else you wanted to say?
Oh, no, I'll mute myself. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Very good. Barbara Charon. I still cannot hear you. You have your hand up for quite a while now, but I can't hear you. So if you have a question, please type it into the question box. That should work. Works usually for everybody else. And what I suggest, if you all want to talk and don't want to type it in, get a USB headset at Walmart. You are unmuted. And I leave you unmuted. Maybe you can find the button on your microphone. And meanwhile, I'm going to go to Catherine, and she knows what the cat's eye is.
Yeah, it's not cat's eye, it's cat's ear. And it's that area where the bar goes over at the top where the bar joins the wall, and it makes that little pointy area.
What I named the heel bar triangle.
Yes.
Okay. I hope that makes sense for Philip. Philip, does this?
Yeah, it looks like two.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I've been looking for eyes when I should have been looking for ears, haven't I?
Okay.
And don't forget the eyes have it too.
Okay. Great. See, this works out. I can't possibly know everything. I never had heard of this. Now we all know what cat's ears are on a hoof, and maybe it's a local thing. Thank you, Catherine. That was very helpful. And I still can't get in touch with Barbara. Sorry for that. But it's something on your end since everybody else can talk. And you are still unmuted. Well, it was great getting to know everybody. I'm glad we had time to do this, and I see you next week, same time, same place, and we will be talking about the first part of anatomy. We'll be going more into bones, and you will where to post pictures, send them directly to me. What's my email? You have my email address. It's on every invitation. hhdressage@sc.rr.com. You just attach them as an attachment. And if I need to talk you through this, call me when you are in front of your computer and I talk you through it. No, too many. Do not clog my computer. Not happening. I have a pretty big computer because I do a lot of work on it. Thank you everybody for coming. It was delightful. I'm always the one who is so extremely blessed with being allowed to do these things. And I see you next week. Have a good evening.